So as you can see, probably have seen that the syllabus is up to maximum power transfer theorem. So I think I started maximum power transfer theorem yesterday. So that was just the beginning. I mean, for type 1 network, there are two more, as I mentioned. There are actually three types of maximum power transfer theorem. The statements are different, their proofs are different, and obviously the numerical problems related to these three kinds are different. But in any case, you probably have understood that to apply maximum power transfer theorem for a complex circuit, you need to go through Thevenin. So that's the primary understanding that one should have. That before applying maximum power transfer theorem, because it's obvious that no one will ask you to find or apply maximum power transfer theorem in a single loop circuit. No one will provide you that. Always there will be some complexity in the network. So the first thing is you need to convert that network into corresponding Thevenin equivalent, and then you can apply the steps for maximum power transfer. So last day probably also stated that actually the average power is found as mod I square multiplied by the resistive component of the load. As long as there is only resistive net elements in the network, then there is no need to take mod I because current will always come in real form. But in case the circuit has some reactive components, then current will definitely have some real term as well as some imaginary term. During that time, you need to take the modulus of current, mod I, square it, mod I square multiplied by the resistive component of the network. I mean, resistive component of the load. So, first of all, let's see that what is the statement of maximum power transfer theorem for type 2 network. Type 2 means, if you remember last day's lecture, there are three types. Type 1 is where load is purely resistive, variable load, but resistive load. Type 2 is a network where load is reactive. It has two components, variable resistor and variable reactor. That means resistors and maybe there are capacitors or inductors, whatever they are, they can be separately varied. So we shall see what is type 3, but before that, let's see what is type 2. Here, statement maximum power transfer theorem. Actually, the main statement is here. If you observe, the maximum power transfer occurs from source to load when the load impedance is equal to the complex conjugate of the source impedance. Okay, this portion is actually the statement. However, you see that instead of writing that as ZS, it is written as ZTH. I hope you understood what is the reason behind that, because sooner or later you need to apply Thevenin's theorem. If this is the dotted line, right side of the dotted line is the load, left side can be a complex circuit. So the left side circuit, which is a complex circuit, assume suppose the left side is a complex circuit, then you need to convert it into corresponding Thevenin equivalent, which comprises of a voltage source VTH and then impedance ZTH. So as the configuration looks like that, there is a voltage source and a series impedance, which is basically the source impedance, we can assume. So that's why it is written as ZS. However, from analytical point of view, ZTH is applicable. Whatever be the case, you just need to understand that in this particular case where the circuit is reactive, that means AC network actually. Here, maximum power will be transferred across load, will be transferred to the load from source when the load impedance is equal to the complex conjugate of source impedance. If I say that ZS, that is the source impedance, which is say RS plus JXS. RS is the resistive part, XS is the reactive part. XS can be due to an inductor, XS may be contributed by a capacitor. Depending on that, its expression will change. For example, if it is inductor, XS will be omega into L, the reactance of inductor. Similarly, if it were a capacitor, then it would have been would be 1 by omega minus 1 by omega c. Anyway, the statement says that ZL must be the complex conjugate. That means ZA star. Or we can say it is RS minus JX. Have you studied this form of maximum power transfer theorem in basic electrical?
No, sir, we don't have maximum power transfer in basic electrical before.
I think you have studied the first part at least.
No, sir, we had only Thevenin's, Norton's, and superposition.
Oh, only those three. And I
Yes,
was
sir.
thinking that you have studied at least 4 or 5 network theorems already.
No, sir, only three.
Anyway, so I covered the first part of maximum power transfer theorem yesterday. Today I am considering the other two types. So here you can see that when the load impedance is the complex conjugate of the source impedance, then maximum power transfer can happen. So we need a formal proof of this. That's the proof. You see here the proof is given in terms of ZTH. I mean, it is obviously deviating from the usual symbol. When we consider load, we write ZL, L suffix for load. Similarly, when we write source impedance, that is normally represented as ZS. Here we used ZTH from analytical point of view. It is also correct as I mentioned. But if you have any problem regarding this symbol, then the same proof can also be given in this way. See this one. What I was saying actually, see here, it is that is comprised of two components, RS and XS. Whereas ZL, that is also comprised of two elements, RL and XL. Real part, imaginary part. Real part is due to the resistance. Imaginary part is due to either inductor or capacitor or maybe both. So the statement says that in this case where the resistive part and the reactive part both are separately, both can separately vary, then the statement says that maximum power transfer will occur when the impedance, load impedance, is the complex conjugate of source impedance. Let's see the proof. Let me remind you again that power means that we actually mean the dissipative power. By the term power or average power, whatever, if the load, power consumed in load or power delivered to the load is required, then actually we mean this as dissipative power. So dissipative power is mod I square multiplied by RL. I also told you the reason that in case of inductors or capacitors, they are charge storing element. I mean, they can store energy. Inductor stores energy in the form of magnetic energy. Capacitor stores the energy in the form of electric energy. So even though they derive some energy from the source, but they also give it back to the source. So there is no dissipation across them. Whereas in case of resistors, there is a dissipation of power. I told you that as because there is a dissipation of power, so that's why we get this in the form of Joule heating. Also, inductors and capacitors, if they are exposed to current for a long time, there will be Joule heating too. But that is due to the fact that they also have some impurities, and impurities are accounted, taken into account as some resistors. Impurities are present, and that is represented by some resistor. Anyway, let's come back to the proof part. So this is the configuration, the voltage source Vs, source impedance is Zs, Rs plus Jxs, load impedance Zl, that is RL plus Jxl. So what is the proof? In this circuit, there will be a current I. That current I is what? Vs divided by Rs plus RL plus J into Xs plus XL. I separated the real and imaginary part here. Then the power. You know that power, that mod I square multiplied by R. So I just use that expression. Mod I, you see the expression, first expression of I. If you take mod of that, then mod Vs divided by root over Rs plus RL square plus Xs plus XL square up to this. And as you are seeing mod I square, so another square, Va square multiplied by RL. So after simplification, we get this. Mod V square can simply be written as V square and divided by the denominator as was in the previous step. Then what we should do? As we are now trying to find the contribution for maximum power. So naturally we should do this to find the maximum or minimum. What we do? We see that with respect to which quantity is varying. Here we see that if we change XL or if we change RL, as both can be varied. So first we shall check that if we are varying the reactive part of the load, then when will the power attain its maximum? So that's why we derive the power with respect to XL and set this equal to 0. So dP dXL, that is equal to 0. Anyone can do this kind of differentiation. I'm not going into the mathematics. You can definitely do this. Still, if you need, I can tell you that dP dXL. So first the denominator square, then the denominator multiplied by ddxl of numerator. Numerator does not contain any value of xl or something like that. That is 0. Then minus numerator multiplied by ddxl of denominator. The first part, differentiation of the first part with respect to xl yields 0. Differentiation of the second part with respect to xl yields 2 into xs plus xl. This one. And that's equal to 0. So finally we get this. Finally we get this. Xs is equal to minus xl. So substituting this condition in the expression of power. So we got the condition of attaining maximum power in terms of xl. If we substitute that in that expression of power that we got in the second line of this proof, then xs, if this is equal to minus xl, then the second term in the denominator will vanish. The denominator is Rs plus RL square plus xs plus XL square. If we put xs equals to minus xl, then the second term in the denominator vanishes and we are left with this. So if you remember, this particular equation is nothing but the equation that we found in case 1. Remember last day's lecture, we found the total power. See, just forget XS and XL in this circuit. Just forget XS and XL in this circuit. Suppose the circuit is resistive, then what was the current? Vs divided by Rs plus RL. So current square should be Vs square divided by Rs plus RL square. That multiplied by resistor RL, that will be the power. So see, we are getting the same equation back as was the case for case 1. So now as resistor can also be varied, the resistive component of load RL, as that can also be varied. So now we need to find the condition for which power will attain its maximum by varying RL. That's why we are differentiating power with respect to RL, dP DRL, that is set equals to 0. Okay. So this part has already been taken care of. I have already showed you last day that how the differentiation is done, how this is set equal to 0, and how, I mean, what is the condition that we can obtain after doing this. What was that condition? This RS equals to RL. So now we actually have two conditions. One is XS equals to minus XL, another is RS equals to RL. So that means if I write ZL, which is RL plus JXL, instead of RL we can write RS, and instead of XL we can write minus XL. So JXL is minus JXL, whereas ZS was this RS plus JXL. So naturally ZL must be the complex conjugate of ZS. This is what the statement says. In case you need the value of maximum power, then what you will do? You do this. Okay, we do this. Mod Vs square divided by 4. As here the voltage is Vs. In case you need to convert this into corresponding Thevenin equivalent form, then that will be VTH square divided by 4RL. But don't forget to take the modulus part only. Similarly, if you are finding the power in terms of current, then that will be simply mod I square multiplied by RL. Our maximum power is calculated in this way. Remember last day, VTH square divided by 4RL or 4RTH, whatever. Similarly here, just the difference is here you need to take the modulus part, mod Vs. So let's now see a problem on that. The problem I already solved here. I'm just showing you the steps. This kind of problem will actually come. The statement says that find ZL for which maximum power will be transferred and also find Pmax. So we need the condition as well as the value of maximum power. So then what's the procedure? You can see that this is not a simple circuit with a single loop. So obviously the corresponding Thevenized form is required. So first we identify the load here, ZL, that is removed. The load is removed. So then how to find Thevenin equivalent voltage? That voltage VTH is present in between these A and B, right? So VTH is how much? You can see, observe it, that actually there is a current in this single loop. Even in this single loop there is a flow of current like this. Say this current is capital I. If that current flows, that will develop a potential drop like this, plus minus, similarly plus minus like this. You see, if you apply KVL here for the left side of AB terminal, then it will be 50 minus the voltage across 5 plus J5. Am I right? It is the voltage 50 volt minus the voltage across this part 5 plus J5. So I multiplied by 5 plus J5. You can also find the same if you go from right hand side. See, if you are at the right hand side, then that side will give you 3 minus J4 multiplied by I plus 25 angle 90 degree. By the way, 25 angle 90 degree is actually 25J. Remember, any quantity when multiplied with plus J, that means there is a 90-degree phase advancement. If multiplied by minus J, that means 90-degree phase delay. So you see that in both ways, I mean, in either way, you can find the voltage VTH. So see, I found that current here, current I. What is that current? 50 minus 25J, that is the total voltage here, divided by total impedance, 5 plus J5 plus 3 minus J4. So that makes it 8 plus J. Numerator is the voltage, 50 minus 25J. Hopefully there is no confusion regarding that. So next we are finding VTH. VTH is, as I said, 50 minus the current. Current has been replaced here. I mean, the value of the current has been substituted here. 50 minus 25J divided by 8 plus J. That multiplied by 5 plus J. After some simplification, you can finally find this. You can verify that if you want. Here I have skipped some steps and I did that rough work in my writing pad. If you want, you may verify that whether this is true or not. So next, what we do, we convert this into corresponding polar form that's given in Cartesian form. We convert this into corresponding polar form. So the polar form is this one for the numerator with some angle theta1. I am not interested in that angle. If you find the angle, that angle will be tan inverse minus 75 by 25, but we are not at all interested in the value of angle. Why so? Because any complex quantity will have a modulus part, will have an angle part. But here what we need is only the modulus. Remember, total power, to find the total power, what we need? We just need mod VTH. So that means only the modulus part. Whatever be the angle, forget it. 8 plus J. Okay. Corresponding modulus will be. Sorry. Corresponding modulus will be this. Root over 8 square plus 1. Here also we will get an angle theta2 tan inverse 1 by 8. Doesn't matter. If you do further simplification, you will get 9.8. And an angle theta1 minus theta2 doesn't matter because that angle is not required. What we need is only the 9.8, which is our modulus. Okay. This is what we need, 9.8. The next thing is we need to find the Thevenin equivalent impedance, ZTH. You know how to do that? You know how to do that? Impedance ZTH is the impedance removed from the terminals, keeping all the independent sources deactivated or replaced by their internal impedances. Voltage sources will be replaced by short circuits, as you can see here. Left side voltage source, right side voltage source, both are replaced by short circuits. And if you look back from the terminals, then you will see that 5 plus J5 and 3 minus J4, they appear in parallel. So 5 plus J5 and 3 minus J4, they appear in parallel. We do the corresponding analysis. I mean, we are trying to find the equivalent impedance connected in parallel. So after simplification, yes, are you asking something?
Sir, can we write VTH equal to minus 3 minus 4 minus 25J angle 90?
I mean, you want to keep the value of VTH at Cartesian coordinate.
No, sir, you have considered the left-hand side circuit. I'm saying that can we
Okay,
write the
okay.
right-hand?
Yes, obviously, why not? You are asking about this, I think. Suppose if I obtain VTH in this way, VTH equals to the current I multiplied by 3 minus J4 plus 25J. Is it?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
You will get the same answer. Check. Obviously, it should come as the same answer. Otherwise, Kirchhoff তো যা বলেছে সব ভুল, তাই না?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Otherwise, we are actually violating Kirchhoff's rule. If the right hand side voltage is different from the left hand side, then obviously KVL is not right. You can check it. See, this is the value of current. You just substitute that current here, do the calculations, and you will find the same. This one.
Sir, actually, you had considered the left-hand side. That's why I asked you.
No, at that time I also mentioned that you can also go for the right hand side. I mentioned
Oh,
it. That
oh,
3
oh.
minus J4 multiplied by current plus 25J. You probably missed that point. Anyway,
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
so JTH is equals to RTH plus JXTH. It is comprised of resistive part and imaginary, real part and imaginary part. The real part corresponds to the resistor, imaginary part corresponds to inductor or capacitor, whatever. So you got this. According to the statement, the load impedance ZF, that must be the complex conjugate of this one. So this was minus. So naturally this will be plus 4.23 plus this one. That's the answer. I mean answer to the first question. Find ZL for which maximum power transfer will occur. Then the answer to next question, the second question, Pmax, that can be found as, remember Pmax is mod VTH square divided by 4RL. So mod is this 9.8 square of that divided by 4 into the resistive component. Remember 4.23 is the resistive component of the load. So you got this 5.676. This is how we apply maximum power transfer theorem for the type 2 network. Let's now see what happens in type 3. This is the same proof actually, given with some different symbol. Okay, this is what I already mentioned. Emacs, how do we calculate it? Or there is an error here. That's not simply VTH, rather it is mod of VTH square divided by 4 into RTH or RL, whatever you say. So it's mod there. So suppose this problem, another problem of that type. I shall go to the type 3 after this. You see that AC network. We need to solve it. What is the procedure? You first find the Thevenin equivalent. So for that, ZL is to be disconnected and voltage source is to be shorted. First, you need to find that open circuit voltage. Then you need to find the ZTH, or you can find ZTH first. Then you can find voltage, open circuit voltage. So say, suppose I did this. Voltage source is short circuited here, and the load has been disconnected here. You can see here 4 and 4J, they are connected in parallel, and that combination arises in series with minus 2J. So we get this, the impedance as 2 ohm. However, in this case, you can see that the impedance itself does not contain any imaginary term. So the value of ZL will be simply 2 ohm. There is no need to take any complex conjugate. what is the voltage? I mean open circuit voltage for the previous problem. What is the open circuit voltage? You see, to find open circuit voltage, we note that the capacitor having an impedance minus 2J, that doesn't carry any current, this capacitor. So naturally there is no potential drop across this, across that capacitor. So that VAB, that will come across 4 ohm, that will come across 4 ohm. So you see the calculation is simple then that means we need the voltage across 4 ohm, that is our open circuit voltage or VAB or VTH, whatever you say. So 40 divided by 4 plus 4J, that's the current, multiplied by 4, that's the voltage. So you can find it is actually what? To do this calculation, this is actually 40 divided by 1 plus j, right? So this is 40 divided by root over 2 and inverse 1. Tan inverse 1 means 45 degree. When this goes to numerator, it becomes minus 45. Forget that, as I mentioned. Forget angle. Even you can simply keep it as theta or theta 1, whatever. We just need the modulus part. 28.29. If you do that calculation, 40 divided by root over 2, you will get that. So that value is what we need. So the value of maximum power can be found like this: mod VTH square divided by 4J3. 28.29 square divided by this. Final answer is 100 watt. You may verify that. Next is this, type 3. See the equation, the circuit configuration here. There is a voltage source of value, say E. Here the source impedance has components like small r and small a. This is the resistive part, this is the imaginary part of reactive part. Load impedance also has two components, capital R and capital X. If you want, you may write this as ZS, you may write this as XS. If you want, you may write this as R. Sorry, what I did. What did I do? This RS. If you can write this as RS and XS, and you can write this as RL and plus JXL. Anyway, I have taken a snapshot from a book, as you can understand. So I am just following that symbol, that notation. You can use other symbols or other notation. So you see that in this case, however, let me remind you that here we have a difference. It looks like the previous circuit, but it has a difference. The difference is here the variable resistance with the load impedance is variable. I mean, it is a reactive load, but only resistor part is variable. That means RA. That is variable. But the reactance part, that is JXL, this is fixed. So here only this part is variable. That means if you want the maximum condition of maximum of power, for which power attains its maximum, then you need to differentiate it with respect to the load, RL or capital R, whatever you use. So you see the magnitude of the current has been found first. E divided by root over small r plus capital R square plus small x and plus capital X square. Okay. Then the power. What is the power? Power is mod I square into R. So you see mod I has been found. This portion mod E square divided by R plus capital R square plus xs plus capital square, small x plus capital X square. This portion is the mod I square part multiplied by r. That's power. So how to find the maxima? Why we did this differentiation? To find condition of maximum. We did this GPDR. If you differentiate and set this equal to 0 for maximum value, then you will get an equation like this, which says that the value of capital R. Why it is written in terms of capital R and not capital X? Because here capital X is fixed. You cannot change it. You can change only capital R. And how it can be changed? This is the idea. The power will become maximum when this particular condition is satisfied. If not, then maximum power transfer will not take place. So if capital R is equal to root over small r square plus small x plus capital X square, it happens. You see that here two different cases are possible from this equation, from the inner equation. Two different cases are possible. What are they? We can have a situation where small x equals to 0. That means the source impedance does not contain any reactive part, or we can have a situation capital X equals to 0. See, capital X is actually the load impedance. It says that type 3 says that load impedance with variable resistance and fixed reactance. Fixed reactance can also have a fixed value like 0. There is no rule that it cannot be 0. Right, fixed reactance, it says. So that's a special case actually. Small x, capital X, both can be 0. So for that, you need to modify that equation. Accordingly, further analysis will be done. So let's see a problem on this. Fortunately, this kind of, the application of type 3, that, so far as my experience is concerned, I have never seen any other types of problem than that. I didn't see anything other than this. Only this kind of problem comes, and that's the only alternative actually. There is no way that people can say different types of question for type 3 network. See that in the network shown, the load consists of fixed capacitive reactance of 7 ohm and variable resistance of R. You see, resistance is variable, capacitance value or the reactance value is fixed. Determine the value of capital R for which maximum power will be transferred. That is, power transfer to the load is the maximum. We just derived that equation. Capital R equals to root over small r square plus x plus capital X square. Okay. It is root over. Okay. Root over. So we get this value 5 ohm. Next, the value of maximum power is also required. So we just substituted that value. We need to find the current. Current is about 60 volt divided by 4 plus J10 plus R minus J7. R is 5 ohm. We just found it. It is replaced by 5. We found the current. As I mentioned, angle is not important. The important part is only the magnitude. This 6.324. So the maximum power, value of maximum power, how do we find it? Mod of I square. See, this current I that has been found for the condition for which we get the maximum power. So we can use that current only. For different value of this R, the value of current will be different. But as we have already found the value of R for which maximum power condition is satisfied, so this is the current for which power will be maximum. 6.324 square multiplied by 5. By 5 only because that's the resistive part of the network of the load. So 200 watt. That's the answer. Tell me if you have any question.
Sir, here load resistance is varying. Suppose there is a resistance in the source side. Suppose if that resistance is varying, then what will happen?
Force resistance is also varying.
Yes. Suppose load resistance is stable, is constant, and source resistance or impedance is varying. Then,
But how does it happen? Because the source is already given, which has a fixed resistance or impedance.
no, it can happen that inductor is connected and a resistor is also connected, but that source resistance
No.
is
You are missing a point. It says the statement says that in terms of load, the statement of maximum power comes in terms of load. That when load becomes equal to source or load becomes complex conjugate of source, so that means load is externally connected and you don't have any control over that value. But the other part of the circuit to which load is being connected, that part is already given. You cannot change its value. If you insert a values of say 2 ohm to that 4 ohm, then how will you do that? Like, because the left side is actually a converted value. I mean equivalent circuit of the network.
yes.
If you have a fixed source, can you change its internal resistance?
No.
Then theoretically you can. I mean, if you just change it to 6 ohm, mathematically it is possible. Practically it is not. Because
Yeah.
maximum power transfer is applicable. I mean, where we apply this. Suppose you are connecting some antenna to some amplifier also. So that amplifier part is given to you. You don't know anything about the circuit. You know that the load. You know suppose the length of the wire that you are using for the antenna. Load of that wire can vary if you change its length. So how much or to what extent you will be changing the length of the antenna, that depends on the maximum power transfer, because the left side, the amplifier that has been provided to you, you will check its open circuit voltage by connecting a voltmeter. Then using a potentiometer, you will find its say Thevenin equivalent impedance. So then you will do this kind of calculation that this can deliver this much amount of power, and the maximum power will be delivered only when a certain condition is met. But you cannot change the internal circuitry of the given device. So see, nowhere, I mean, you won't find that the resistor part of the source that is variable, it is never written anywhere in any statement of maximum transfer theorem. As I said, that mathematically it is possible, but practically not.
Sir, that means maximum power transfer theorem is Applying Thevenin's theorem. That means in Thevenin's theorem also we cannot have variable resistance in the load side, in the source side.
That's obvious.
Sure.
What you are measuring is the Thevenin equivalent form.
Yes.
Now you got a Thevenin equivalent which is suppose 20 volt with series 5 ohm. Now if you suddenly change 5 ohm to 7 ohm, will the device remain the same?
No.
Certainly not.
Sure. Yes.
But as I said that mathematically it is possible. Suppose you have a circuit and you are changing a certain portion of the load, then how much current, I mean, what is the value of current to which, what is the increment of current or decrement of current? That is possible to be found. There is a theorem for that called compensation theorem. If you change a certain part of the circuit, and suppose you are inserting a load or withdrawing some load, it is possible. But directly you cannot change the internal resistance of a source.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I am giving you a problem. Try to do this. All of you. Yes. It is not solved. I shall not provide the solve here. I shall provide only the answer. Try to do this. In the network source, find ZL such that maximum power will transfer to the load from the source. At least find the ZL. How to find it? How do we find ZL? We find the Thevenin equivalent from this point. We short circuit the voltage source. Short circuit the voltage source like this. Then we observe the impedance from here. Can you tell me how are they connected?
Sir, J24 and in series and 21 is in parallel with J24 and 12.
21 and 12 plus
21,
24J.
yes, they are in parallel.
Yes, they are in parallel. And
and 21 and 50 are in same potential. So they are
no.
connected.
See again. Suppose ZL is disconnected. So how you can redraw the circuit? We have this. Inductor, resistor, inductor, resistor, another resistor. So can you see that these 2 points are connected? That means it is equivalent to this. This is the terminal A. This is suppose A, this is B. That's A. And this side, is. Can I do this?
Yes, sir.
50 ohm, 30 ohm, and J60. They are connected in parallel, and this portion is connected is in series with the upper side connected in series with the lower side. So ZTH, this is 21 parallel 12 plus 24J. That is in series with the parallel combination of 50 and 30 plus 60J. Find ZTH, you will get some value like A plus JB or A minus JB. So ZL will be complex conjugate of that. I am writing the answer here. You check whether it is correct or not. 42.26 plus 21.35J. This is ZTH. So ZL will be 42.26 minus 21.35. Just verify whether it is correct. And then to find maximum value of power, that is Pmax, you require Thevenin voltage also, VTH, that means open circuit voltage. For that, what you will do? I am also writing the value of Joshi or VTH. You can verify it later. Point 1657 angle 170. Angle part is not needed. What we need is this value of Pmax, that can be found as mod VTH square divided by 4 into RL or RTH. RL means the resistive part. The answer is 0.1624 milliwatt. Take it. Verify. Answer is written here. Find open circuit voltage. You can apply mesh analysis here. You see, just open it. In between these 2 points, open circuit voltage will arise. So there are either you can use that or you can simply use the voltage division method here. Same voltage 10 is appearing across both these lines. So just check what is the voltage at this point. Then find the voltage at this point. Suppose VA, this is VB. So VA minus VB, that is your VTH. Hopefully you know what voltage division is. Like this. Suppose there is a voltage of P and there are two resistances like R1 and R2. Suppose if I want the voltage across R, you can find the voltage across this part in this way. How will you do that? You see how much current is flowing here. V divided by R1 plus R2. That's the current. That multiplied by R2 is the voltage at this point. Similarly, doing that, you can find the voltage here. After that, you can find the voltage here using Euler procedure. So you are getting VA and VB, then just subtract one from another. Okay, I am leaving this as a homework. Answers have been given, you just need to verify. Let me remind you that the quiz will open at 7 p.m. on Saturday and will go off at 8 p.m. So try to submit this in time. Yes, obviously. There are 4 more. Superposition, but you have learned superposition, but probably you didn't study dependent sources then. So naturally, the application of superposition will be different from what you learned. Then there is Millman's theorem. Then there is reciprocity theorem, compensation theorem, Teligan's theorem. These are the theorems that I can remember you have in your syllabus. Once this is over, then we can go to the next module, which is Laplace transform. But this will take probably 3 or 4 classes more. Okay, roll number 62. Sixty-two, 63,
Present, sir.
4,
Yes, sir.
5, 6,
Yes, sir.
7,